Right, so good morning, year nines. Basically, today, what I would like you to do is look at different artists, as we've been spending a lot of time with Michael Craig Martin. And the idea is that for you to understand that there are other artists apart from Michael Craig Martin. Here, we've got Roy Lichtenstein's work, who is an artist who has done many paintings in his career. A lot of them very comic-like. However, in a short period of his time, he did, as an artist, he did paint still life, and these are some examples. I want you to spend just a couple of minutes just looking at the images and then comparing how Roy Lichtenstein's work is similar to Michael Craig Martin's, and also, if you can, what is different about Roy Lichtenstein's work in comparison to Michael Craig Martin's. And you can pause the video now while you write your answers. So hopefully you've had a look. What you'll realise is Roy Lichtenstein is actually does have quite a few things that are similar. For example, the colours are bright and bold and eye-catching. They are flat. So the objects that he's applied colour to, whether it's a leaf, whether it's a fish, whether it's a still life, they're all flat colours, but bright and bold to catch your audience's eyes. You've also got objects that are in the foreground and background, which Michael Craig Martin did when he had still life objects. He also tried to have very minimal detail, so not overly different details of each of the objects. Then the objects are also obviously three-dimensional, even though they're quite simple. The differences probably are that actually Roy Lichtenstein applies texture, so you can see that's evident in the sandwich image here, the bubbles inside the drink, Coca-Cola drink, the water. He tried to show light and reflection using sections of colour and even the Ben-Day dots that you've got here, whereas Michael Craig Martin literally just stuck with flat colours for each of his objects. So obviously there's the kind of major similar aspects of Michael Craig Martin. Also the difference, the colour palette, if you have a look, you've got primary and secondary colours here, literally in all the images. And Michael Craig Martin had a much bigger palette. So he had like literally from white all the way down to the black outlines. They were all different colours, very, very rich, beautiful, bright colours. Whereas here you can see it's literally just the primary and secondary colours. All right. So obviously, I want you to move on to doing work like Roy Lichtenstein, and your task for today is to actually understand his work. For example, here we've got 3 illustrations. He was an artist in New York, and a part of his training courses is in engineering, and he was most famous for his first initial painting on Mickey Mouse in 1961. But these are just more his still life paintings where I want to get you to focus. And there's objects, everyday objects. And at home, obviously, where you're isolating, I want you to use those everyday objects that you've got in your bedroom, in your kitchen, wherever it is possible. And then for you to then create something that's quite Roy Lichtenstein style. So you've got the Ben-Day dots, you've got like the explosions that he's very famous for in the background, you've got the 3D objects, you have got some detail of like the branding of the Coca-Cola, and then you've got try and stick with the primary and secondary colours, which Ben-Day Roy Lichtenstein actually does. For high ability students, I would expect students to show shadow and light using these Ben-Day dots in this first painting that Roy Lichtenstein has done. Low ability students, obviously, at least something the objects need to be clear that you can recognize the objects, and you've got things in the background, things in the foreground, and of where objects where you've tried to draw them three-dimensional. I would stick with even really basic things like kitchen utensils for those low ability students. High ability students, vases, small objects, big objects, objects with branding, anything that's personal to you will help make the drawing much more enjoyable. And good luck with that. And hopefully for those of you that are going to be obviously not joining us next lesson as well, the aim is then you spend an hour to apply colour, and that will be your second lesson for next week, where you will need to apply colour. And hopefully if you've got paints at home, fabulous, do use your paints, and if you don't, then at least try to use the colouring pencils to get those primary secondary colours. There isn't evidence of shadow unless you use the Ben-Day dots, so be careful that you're not applying colour, because it is very tempting to make sure you've got shadow in all of your objects or light. However, if you absolutely minimal, do not have any colour, what I would suggest you do is, like this middle image here, you could stick with black and white and literally have HB pencil, and you can represent, like, for example, the yellow could be a different shade of grey in comparison with a dark lines for the main objects outlined. So really a scope for you to go for it. If you've got the materials, please do make sure you apply colour. If you don't, minimal, I would still expect you to do something grayscale where you're changing the pressure of your pencils. Thank you very much, and I look forward to receiving your illustrations. So this week, obviously, make sure you send me the outlines, and then next week I would expect you to send me the colour versions by the end of next week. Thank you very much. Have a good week.